Welcome aboard the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon podcast, where we're dedicated to helping first-time and experienced boat buyers find the right boat at the best price so they have years and years of boating fun, because life truly is better on a boat. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon YouTube channel. Don't pay too much for your next boat. Just visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save to watch a short video. Now, let's hop aboard and have some fun. Hey, everybody, we're here with Tyler. He is a boater looking at a boat. He reached out to me the other day, wanted some advice on a specific boat that he's already found out. So let's learn a little bit about Tyler and Tyler, tell us about your situation. Where are you at right now? What you looking at? Have you owned boats before? Where do you boat? Give us the lowdown on all that first.
Sure. I live in the Midwest and around the Ozarks area. Boat there. I've rented for years pontoon boats, bow riders, and I'm looking to step into that big step of getting one with the family that we can use on a more frequent basis. And probably going to go to the bow rider side of things, be able to tube and ski. I've narrowed down my price range and pretty close to the type of boat that I want. And I'm just trying to figure out how's the best way to pull the trigger and things I should be thinking about after the purchase too, to get ready for the season.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, let's start. I'm familiar with the Lake of the Ozarks. I started boating down there when I was 5. My family took our first vacation down there, and my family still has a place there where we've got a tri-tune and a 32-foot bow rider. It's off 2 coasts past the Niangua Bridge. So we're kind of off the beaten path a little bit more, away from Osage, but so I'm very familiar with the lake. What part of the lake are you going to be on? Because that's going to make a big difference on the type of boat and where our conversation goes, I think.
Yeah. And it's not just that lake. That lake can get very, very crowded and huge wakes, big boats. And so you don't want to be on that lake on a Saturday in a little dinghy. You will get swamped. So
yes,
more,
for sure.
More, if that's where I hear you're going with that question, yeah. And
yeah, absolutely. You got it.
Basically, I'll be on some smaller lakes in that area, and occasionally at the Ozarks, back in the coving out. So not in the main channel kind of deal.
And the reason I bring that up is the Lake of the Ozarks, as he said, can be super rough, and it's just something to consider in the type of boat that you're looking at and the size of boat. So Tyler has narrowed it down. He said, "Hey, I've got this Cobalt that I'm looking at." So you're pretty confident that 24-foot or so open bow is the right style for you, and we'll skip over that part if you're, hey, I know this is the right style boat for me.
Yes, I think I've gotten that far. That's a step in the right direction in the first place, just to try to narrow it down. I didn't want, I looked at like a 26, 28 footer, and some friends had said that may not give me the handling that I'd want in dealing with skiers a lot.
Okay.
So maybe a little smaller boat, something that I can handle better. And this is my first boat. So.
Okay. So you've had a lot of experience renting. You've been out on the water. You've narrowed it down. You've got your budget figured out. So that's awesome. You've got a big chunk of it taken care of. And Cobalt is a fantastic boat. Matter of fact, my in-laws on the lake that we go to in Tennessee just bought an R5 2 years ago. So it's
nice.
And man, I love running that boat with them. So it's fun. So throw out to me your biggest questions, Tyler, and let's go that direction since you're zeroed in. I got a feeling of where you're boating. Tell me a little bit about your family. You mentioned skiing. How old are the kids, if you have any, and give me a picture of that too, so I have some background.
They're 2 girls, 11 and 8.
Okay.
We've gone tubing multiple times. They love it. Want to get them and their friends to be able to go out on the lake for a fun day. So adults and kids, tubing, skiing, coving out.
Okay. And you'll be trailering? You mentioned going to some other small lakes. I assume you'd be on a trailer?
Yes, I'll be trailering it. That's actually kind of a little bit of an issue. Buying the boat from a dealer down the Ozarks, typically they don't have a trailer underneath it because so many people just put it on a lift and walk away from it. So we've been throwing back and forth a couple of trailer options too.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. So, all right. So that gives me what I need there now for sure. And I've got the Cobalt you're looking at. If you want to say the dealer's name that you're looking at, you can. Otherwise, we'll just talk about the dealer. Tell me, the dealer. Give me your first questions, and we'll jump into trying to give you some good advice here.
Okay. So they have provided a 150-point inspection checklist.
Okay.
And it's got the compression ratings on it. The only thing that they really did was said that they needed to trade out or replace a couple of navigation lights for it. But the compression test looked good. I've got the numbers here, and I'd like for you to be able to translate that for me. Too.
Sure. Sure. Is it a Mercruiser or a Volvo engine? I know in that year. Okay, so Volvo Penta.
Volvo. Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So what were the compression numbers on the cylinders? Now, for those of you listening, you can go and check out pretty much any of my used boat videos. We talk about checking compression, which is the power that the engine is firing on each cylinder. You want to make sure it's at a level range and within the specs of where that particular engine should be. So what were they on that 2012, Tyler?
Cylinder 1 was 200, 190, 190, 195, 195, 190, and 190.
Okay. So I'm not sure what the range is on the Volvo Penta, but I do know that you're well within a 10% of each cylinder tells you that they're firing on an equal power level. Yeah. So I think you're good with those. I would want to just do a quick check, go to the manual and see, okay, what exactly is that Volvo Penta supposed to be? But my gut tells me that you're in good shape. I would have to look at the manual, but I think you're going to be okay. And what I'll do is I'll look that up and send it to you after we record this here to let you know. But I think, you want to be in that 10% range. So 190 to 210 kind of puts you in that, okay, you're 10% of that mid level. So I think you're good there. Did it say how many hours were on it? Did you get a printout of the computer diagnostic?
There is 265 hours.
Okay, great. That's a good number for that year. The boat's 8 years old. That feels like a good, comfortable number there in a freshwater lake in the Midwest. A 4 or 5 month season. That feels like a good number.
Yeah, I think that was right on target. The rest of the report was there's nothing of interest. Everything was marked satisfactory. Looking at belts, hoses, oil pan, alternator, batteries, gaskets, lines, all that checked out fine.
And you've inspected the boat in person?
I have, yes.
Okay.
We have not done a sea trial yet, but that will be coming up here in a weekend or two.
Okay.
With our coats on in December.
Hey, trust me, I've run boats in the snow with clients saying, "Hey, is this the right one for you?" Just picture it's 90 degrees out. It's almost the same ride, just a little bit more fun when it's 90. I do notice that in those years, the Cobalts had the upholstery that kind of bunched up just a little bit. Not a huge deal, but I noticed that that's a common thing on those year Cobalts. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that being an extra issue. Looking at the boat, just on the images, it looks super clean. You can't go wrong with the manufacturer. The dealer, I'm familiar with the dealer. I haven't spent any money with them, but I've talked to people there, and stopped in, and been to the facility. They seem like a good quality dealer. So I think, taking their inspection and putting that with your personal inspection, I think you're in good shape. The engine compartment looks nice and clean. Did you kind of stick your head in there?
I did. It looked clean and dry, but I'll make sure I take a look at it after the sea trial also.
Yep. Yeah, you're looking for any drips, any stains, anything like that looks off. Check it before you go out, and then check it after, knowing that you may see some water that wasn't there before. And what happens is there's water in a compartment somewhere. You get it on the water, you get up on plane, and that angle changes and everything run towards the bilge. So don't be super concerned if there's clean water. Be concerned if there's grease or drip that looks like an oil or gear lube or something like that.
Okay.
So do an inspection before and after on that. And the same thing with the fluids themselves. So just, take a towel with you and a flashlight, and check that gear lube, check the oil, and then run it and check it afterwards as well. And that'll give you a pretty good indication of if something's going on. That's an obvious thing. I would anticipate a good quality dealer like what you're looking at is going to have done that already in their inspection. But better just to check it. Take the five minutes to do it and double check yourself.
Yes, great.
Okay, so that looks good. Are you comfortable on the demo, the things that you'll want to do on the demo or the sea trial?
Let's walk through that. Let's walk through.
Sure. So I'll give you, and I've done it on a pontoon. Matter of fact, I recorded that video down at the Ozarks on our pontoon. I haven't done one on a fiberglass boat yet, but here's what you'll want to do is, if you can, and this can be difficult, is try to start it cold. And be the first one to crank it up for that day. That will give you an indication of, hey, it hasn't been run for a couple weeks, maybe a month or so. You'll hear that initial sound. Is it smoking? Does something happening the very first time? Is the battery powered up, or is it dead? So if you can, that's a good way to start. Just kind of let it sit and idle for a couple minutes as you're at the dock. As it's idling, lift up that engine compartment and take a peek down in there. What's it look like? Any fluids anywhere? Anything leaking? Anything dripping? Just get a visual of this is what it looks like beforehand. Okay. While it's sitting there at the dock, go through every system on the boat. So turn on the anchor light, put the the light in. Okay. Is it working? Great. The bow lights, are those navigation lights working? Hit the horn, turn the stereo on, any interior lights, any LED lights, the stereo, the Bluetooth, the CD player, whatever it's got, just the docking lights, it looks like it has. Run through all of those systems just so you know what it has and what it doesn't, what's working, what's not, and how to operate it. It's amazing how many times you get home and you're like, oh crap, what does this switch do? Run the blower, of course, before you crank it up. Where's the anchor light? I don't even know where it is. So if you do all that while you're sitting at the dock and it's warming up, especially as you're in Missouri in January or December, it's going to need to warm up a little bit extra. So get all that done. Put up your wind dam. I think that 222 has the wind dam. It's a 2012 Cobalt 222 that we're looking at. And so put that wind dam up. It'll make it a lot warmer on your run. It'll also block some of that wind so you can hear a little bit better. You're going to release from the dock and just idle out to the open water. And again, what you're checking is just you're always listening and you're feeling for vibrations. You're listening for any odd mechanical sounds that just don't sound right. Once you get out to the open water, you've run a boat before, so make sure you're a competent driver. You pay attention to everything around you and all of that, and go from just an idle, put the throttle down, go from idle to wide open throttle, get yourself up on plane and run wide open throttle for 30 seconds, a minute. You don't need to do it for a real long time, and then come back to a 3/4 throttle. From that 3/4 throttle, you're going to do a turn to port and a turn to starboard. Just do a 360-degree turn. And again, you're feeling for how does the boat react. On the Cobalt, it's going to handle beautifully, especially in December when the water is going to be totally calm. But do that turn. You're checking the power steering. You're checking how it handles port and starboard. So you're doing 360 each way. And then it's not a big a concern on a Cobalt as it may be on another boat that isn't quite that premium level quality. But it's good on any used boat is to chop it up and then take a big wide swing and run through all your chop. What you're doing there is you're just getting a sense for, is there anything that sounds loose? Does anything rattle that is concerned that maybe I need to inspect when we get back to the dock? And just keep a mental note or actually have somebody with a notepad and put it down because you'll be operating the boat. But just run through some chop and make sure you get a feel for that, because that's going to indicate, hey, there's been plenty of times when a bimini top arm falls off or a compartment opens up, something that you would have never known on a perfectly smooth day. So once you do that, you're gonna stop, come back to neutral, and just sit still. Okay. From there, we're gonna do a quick transmission check, and you're just gonna sit from a neutral position, a dead stop, and you're gonna go forward gear, just into idle, 1, 2, 3, back to neutral, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, 3. And you're just going to pause for 3-5 seconds, but you're just going to go back and forth. You're checking that shift cable or that digital shift, which is probably what this one has, and you're listening for the sound of that outdrive going in and out of gear. Is it going smoothly? Is it making a reasonable clunk? Because they're going to make, you've run boats, you know that sound, it goes in gear. There's a clunk, but does it sound like a good clunk? Is it consistent? And compare it to other boats that you've heard, or go listen to some online. That's something I need to get on my channel soon. And that's the major portion of the test drive. 15, 20 minutes out there, and then just kind of run the boat after you do that, because some issues will come up after the boat's warmed up and over time. So just running around a little bit, it doesn't need to be an hour cruise up to the dam, but just run it for a good 15, 20 minutes as you're doing all of these maneuvers and just running it at a reasonable, 3,500, 4,000 RPM range.
Okay.
So that's sort of my recipe for a good sea trial, a good demo ride on a pre-owned boat. You're checking all the systems. You're getting to know how it handles, how it runs in rough chop. You're going through listening to the engine and every type of situation that you're going to be in. The one thing I didn't mention is the trim. Trim normally as you would. And when you're doing your turns, make them pretty tight and leave that trim all the way down as you're doing the port and starboard turns.
Okay.
So if you've gotten the toolkit, Tyler, there's a checklist of kind of all of those maneuvers in there. But and you can watch the video that I did on the Pontoon on the YouTube channel, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon. And you'll see me do basically those same things in a pontoon right near the Niangua Bridge.
Okay.
So I love the fact that you kind of followed all the steps. You've figured out what you wanted. You set your budget. You found the boat. Now you're going to do a good sea trial and make sure that it's where a lot of people make mistakes is they find that right boat. It seems like a good value, and then they just jump on it. And they don't do that final check of, let's just make sure that everything's right for me, and make sure that the dealer, knows everything that's wrong with it. Because at times a dealer will miss something just because they don't have time to do that full, 20 minutes on a used boat when they're in the heart of the season and when they're real busy. But you don't want to get caught with that mistake. You're the one spending the $50,000.
Ain't going to have to deal with those headaches if I miss it.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's, I always say, I'm not looking for reasons to not buy the boat, but I do want to know every single thing that's wrong with it and then make the decision. Am I comfortable with everything that's wrong with it at this price? Because I promise you, even on the cleanest boat in the best condition, you're going to find something that's not right. It's just, it's why you're saving, $40,000 from a brand new one, or probably a little bit more in your case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that helpful there?
Yes, it was very helpful. I appreciate that. I'm going to go back and watch that video too. So the dealer has been very helpful and very insightful on aspect. They have their own Coast Guard certified captain that will take me out, give me a run through with the boat, teach me the ins and outs of the boat, how to trailer. They fully want my experience to be great. Obviously, that I can recommend them in the future, but they want it to be good as a new boater. That we have the right experience.
Yeah, that's what I would expect out of this dealer, from what I know about them, and it's sort of the gut feel you want from any dealer, is just that sense that they're not just concerned about you buying the boat, but they're really concerned that your boating lifestyle for the next several years is going to be fun right out of the gate and for a long period of time. That's sort of the attitude that you're looking for. And you can just get a sense for that in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would handle most of that part. My next questions are around price. And
yes, we're recording this. Yeah. But a very important part. I mean, even the guy dropping $100,000 on a boat, and it's they're writing the check, paying cash, and it's a blip in the bucket for them. Price is still important. You never want to overpay. And it's December 2020 right now, so it's the early December. We're on the tail end of COVID. Used boat prices have gone up as the demand has gone through the roof in the marine industry over the last 8 months or so. So used boat prices are a challenge. So I've got your boat up on NADA. It's kind of the main resource I like to go. Have you pulled it up there? Have you looked at it on the NADA guides? Okay. So I'm gonna look at it. Are there any options on the boat that are outstanding, that are unusual for that type of boat that you've been looking at?
I didn't see that much. It does come with a bimini cover and a boat, and a boat cover, along with snap-in flooring.
Okay, good. So here's what I want to. This is kind of a teaching moment for everybody. You'll get it, and you may know this already. But when you're looking at NADA guide, the one thing you want to watch out for is adding every option that the boat has. Because there's so few boat sales, it's not like, there's 10,000 2012 22-foot or 24-foot Cobalt sold every year. There's probably 100 on the used side. So they take an average of everything. And what can happen is if you throw, we're going to give credit for the bimini top, the snap-in carpet, the stereo, the LED lights, the docking lights. Well, that's sort of already baked into the base price. So you want to be cautious about double counting on yourself. A lot of sellers do this because it pumps up the value of the boat. So just the base price on this Cobalt's $41,670. Does that include the trailer? It's under a trailer, or there's a trailer under it, but
no,
I think you said that.
The trailer is extra.
Okay. What are they asking for the trailer?
They're asking $4,000 for this trailer.
Do you know, is it a 2012 or so?
It is not. They have another one. It's a Coyote.
Okay.
It's a Coyote trailer. It's made
Okay.
down in Georgia. They usually put them underneath chaparrals.
Okay. Okay. It's a painted trailer, I assume?
Yes, black. It's a 246 SSI, 2019.
Okay, so it was under a chaparral. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing just from NADA. The average retail price on that boat is about $41,670, and an average price on a trailer is $1,875. That gets you $43,545. Looking from what you've said about the boat, the inspections coming in clear, compression's looking good, hours are well within a comfortable range. It's got all the options you would want. So that average is going to include saltwater boats that aren't perfect. I'm going to put this one a little bit above average, and I would probably offer them. They're asking $46,900 without the trailer. $4,000 for a new trailer. Is that a brand new trailer? A 2020 or so?
It's a 2019.
Okay, so that's a good $4,000 for a 24-foot trailer is a pretty good price. So that we're going to be okay with. I would probably go in and offer them an amount that is, low 40s. Just to see where they're going to go. I would be surprised if they accepted something close to 41 or 42. But I would start there and just say, hey, print off the NADA, go in and say, hey, it shows this base price of this boat is $41,670. That's, I'm going to offer you that. I've got my financing set, or I'm paying cash, whichever way you're going to go. I'm going to be easily approved. We'll talk about financing as well, because you had that in your request. But I would offer 41 or 42, probably 42 on that boat, because it's a nice, clean boat from a good, reputable dealer. The inspection's looking good so far. You're going to confirm it all. Everything's going to be contingent on your sea trial. So that gives you the out if you find something that concerns you. And then it's a matter of, okay, 42, they're at 47, so there's a $5,000 difference. If you ended up at 44, I would be totally happy to have that boat at 44, I would think, plus the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trailer, here's the unfortunate thing when the boat doesn't have a trailer under it, is you got to buy a new one, and it's going to be double the price of a used one. But if you're trailing her a bunch, that's not bad, because you got fresh tires, you've got fresh brakes, you don't have any chips in the paint, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So all in 47.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Now I tell you that would be a comfortable price. I wouldn't start there. I would start lower.
No.
And did you invest in the magic money saving method?
I have not yet.
Okay, it's $27. It's one of the ways, other than just the ad revenue that we get from YouTube, kind of supports what we're doing here. And there's a series of questions that you can go through before you even make your offer, that can lead you to getting them to start at a lower point. I would encourage you to grab that. I'll give it to you. It's a strategy that works incredibly well. But it may even get you under that number that I would say I would be comfortable buying that boat at this price. Obviously, the lower you can get it, the better. And,
right.
I want the dealer to make a decent margin. I don't want you to overpay. That's kind of allows you to support them better as a dealer, but as a buyer, I don't want you to overpay and get the best price you can. So check that out. You can go to boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save and pick that up. But you can use that as well to start at a lower point and to make sure you're getting the absolute best price. So it's even better than going in with the low ball offer. Just kind of work them down with that series of questions. But having here's the number I would like to buy it at, and here's my max number, going into the negotiation with those numbers on a piece of paper, so you don't get caught up in the emotion, and you don't walk away from a deal that you would be totally happy with, and you don't pay too much. You kind of find that fine line.
Okay, great.
So you had a question about financing. You had thrown out a couple places that seems like you had probably found online, and some research that you had done. So throw me any financing questions. If the pricing question is that's a tough one, but hopefully that information was valuable for you. But talk to me about your financing questions.
So where would I possibly get the best rate? The dealer? That's all the lenders that they work with is just marine lenders, versus me going out and going to one or two a couple of particular banks. Dealer has a bunch of independent lenders that they submit my application to, and would receive offers from several different banks.
Correct. You're 100% right. Now, there's a video on boat loans on the website as well. But when you're looking at a used boat, there's two places that you're probably going to get your best deal from. And again, when I say best deal, it's not necessarily the lowest rate. It's what's important to you. So is it the lowest monthly payment? Is it the lowest interest rate? Or is it a combination of both? Because if you go to the dealer, they're going to go out to several of the lenders that they work with, and they send millions and millions of dollars of boat loans to these lenders. So they get some very competitive rates. Plus, the dealer's going to make some money on that loan, which means that maybe you can negotiate the price of the boat a little bit more because they're going to make some on the financing. Which, somebody's going to make money on the financing. If it can help you get a lower price on the boat, all the better. And they're going to be incented to make it go smoothly. They've got all the paperwork. They do it, 100 times a year. So that's one that you want to look at. Tell them what's important to you. Hey, I only want to put 10% down, or, hey, I'm fine chunking, 20 grand down. I can put 20% or 30% down, whatever your situation is. So let them know that.
It should get you a better rate the more you put down.
Yeah, exactly. Gets you a little bit better rate. Hey, I don't want to pay on that boat with 10% down. Let's say you get it to 47. You put $5,000 down, you're at 42. They'll run that loan out for 15 years, and your rate's going to be probably 5.99, maybe a little bit less right now, based on kind of what I know about the market, assuming great credit. You might say, hey, I don't want to go out 15 years. I want to go out 10 or 7 or 5 or whatever your comfort level is. As you come down in term, I start saying, hey, the other thing you need to do is go to a local credit union. There are some credit unions there in the Ozarks. If you're in Missouri, if you're traveling, one that's nearby, it's a little bit more complicated logistic-wise because they may want to see the boat. But credit unions have some really great programs on used boats typically. So find a credit union that and get a quote because they may say, hey, we'll do it for no money down if that's important to you. They may have a little bit lower interest rate, but typically they won't go out the full 15 years. So if that lowest payment isn't real important, but you don't want to put as much down, or you just want the lowest rate and you're okay, only running it out for 7, 8, 10 years, a credit union can be a really good option. So in your case, Tyler, I would look at both of those. I would go to the dealer. I would go to the dealer and say, hey, what's it look like? And here's kind of how I want to structure it. Ask the question, is there any way I could structure this to get me a better deal? Sometimes there's a loan amount level that's going to get you a little bit better rate. So maybe sometimes putting a little bit less down can get you a better rate because it raises the loan amount up. Usually that's in the $25,000 to $50,000 at those thresholds. If you're right there, sometimes making a small adjustment can put you in a different rate category. But look at those two options. Think about what's most important based on your financial situation. Is it keeping money in the bank and you don't want to put as much down? Is it monthly cash flow? You want the lowest payment? Is it a combination and you want kind of the best overall package? And then compare credit union versus dealer lender. And almost never will you find a better deal from just going to Bank of the West or going to U.S. Bank or going to one of the other major banks that does marine lending. You're almost always going to get a better deal through the dealer, even if they go to the same lenders. Because they send such high volumes, they're going to usually get a better program than you would direct.
Okay, great. The next question.
I love. Go ahead. I was just going to say I love credit unions for a lot of people. Your loan amount's a little bit higher. That the no money down option may not be there for you, but credit unions for a lot of people make a lot of sense.
For them. Okay, great. I will check those out. The next is around the insuring it. And is it better to try to get a true marine insurance carrier or to just add it to my home and car plan that I currently have?
My recommendation
about pricing it out.
Yeah, you can price it out, but my recommendation is go to a marine-specific insurance company.
Okay.
They are going to typically, I say typically because it's not always the case, but State Farm, Allstate. I've got my insurance with State Farm, but on the boat, a marine insurance company is going to give you better coverage typically for if you have a claim, they're going to have a faster turnaround. They understand how boats work, that you can't just leave it on the side of the road, that you need towing policies, or if you have a catastrophic event on the water, there's environmental cleanup. And typically they're the same and sometimes even less expensive than going through your homeowner's policy coverage. So I would encourage you to look at a marine specific lender. And again, just like I said about the boat loan, talk to the dealer and say, hey, do you guys recommend an insurance company? Because again, because of the volume that they do, if they have a relationship, they may be able to get you an even better rate. And again, they're going to make money on it, but so is whoever does it. So if they can make a little bit of money on it, it makes it easier for you. You've got great coverage. And on the website, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, Tyler, there's an article that goes through each of the sections, agreed value versus market value. So how are they going to value the boat 2 years from now if there's a catastrophic event, if it's totaled? Well, are they going to give you the market price, which means that you're going to lose some money. You can't replace it with that same amount. Or are they going to give you the $45,000 that they agree that the value of that boat is? How are they going to handle who fixes your boat? Are they going to dictate who fixes it, or can you go to any certified Volvo dealer? And again, most marine companies understand that it's not like taking a Toyota to a mechanic shop where everybody can work on it. To work on a Volvo, you need Volvo computer and Volvo tools. To work on a Mercruiser, you need Mercruiser computer and Mercruiser tools. And if you don't have it, it makes the job a lot tougher and tougher to get parts. So I would check there, and then just go online. There's three major ones. You can go Boat US, which is part of Geico. And there is, they're escaping me right now. I've got them listed on my website, but you can Google marine insurance companies and Progressive, Boat US. Progressive is the other one. Progressive, Geico, and I don't know. I'll send them to you. I've got them on the website. I just, for some reason, I'm losing my mind now.
I'm looking through that article. here. So I guess that would be very important. You got to be able to go to the right mechanic.
Yeah. There's just some real little things that, I know going to your State Farm agent, your Allstate agent is easy. You just tack it onto the policy. It's $500 a year on your boat, and you're off to the races. I'll tell you a story. I used to sell boats, so I'm a former boat salesman, and I had a client that. Yeah, I said, you know what? I could help more people by doing this, and than I can, and I can also boat. What happened was I started selling boats, and I couldn't boat anymore because I was working like a madman during the summer. So I had to come up with a better plan. But I had a client that bought a brand new pontoon. The second week they had it, they trailered it down to vacation, parked it in front of their rental the night they showed up. We're going to put it in the next morning. Drunk driver smashed into the back end of it, totaled the engine, totaled the boat, and they had tacked it on to their homeowner's policy instead of going with the marine insurance company that I recommended, just because it was easier, and that's what happens. Well, unfortunately, he had a large, $8,000-$10,000 difference between the value that he bought the boat for and the depreciated value that the insurance company gave it just 2 weeks later. It may not have been that much, but it was significant that, we did what we could on replacing the boat with the same boat and cut the price as much as we could, but he still had some out-of-pocket expense. And it was all because it was just more convenient for him to go with his homeowners. And he didn't want another payment. But I'll tell you, if something happens, you'll be glad that you went with a marine insurance company and follow kind of the information on that article.
That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know until you need to use that policy. Then you're like, should have listened to Matt.
Well, yeah, I'm as guilty as anybody about being lazy. Of just, it's easier. It's not. I'm not going to have a problem. Everything's going to go smoothly. But when it does, oh my gosh, you wish you would have had that extra auto pay set up, to take out your $497 a month and pay for your good quality insurance, because it's usually the same price, which is something a lot of people don't realize. So pick one of those, whichever one makes the most sense, and read the fine print. Talk to the agent, whoever you're talking to. Ask those, I think, 5 or 6 questions about the coverage, and that way you're set.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Now all I have to do is do the deal and get the boat in the water.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I tell you what, if there's any other questions that pop up, Tyler, just shoot me a quick note. I'll follow up with a couple of the things via email here after our call. This will go live in a couple of weeks here, and I'll send you a link to it. But
awesome.
Yeah, you picked out an awesome boat. You're gonna love it, assuming that everything goes well with the inspections. Get the best financing, save some money there. Get the best insurance, save some money there, and good coverage, and go have some fun with your family on the water when it warms up, man.
Gives me something to definitely look forward to.
There you go. Hey, we get down to the Ozarks maybe once or twice a year. So if I see that white cobalt running around, I'll be sure to wave. We'll do it.
Maybe I'll buy you a cold one.
I'll take it, a Bud Light for sure.
Well, thanks very much for your time and insight. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I enjoyed talking with you, Tyler.
Okay. Take care, man.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's pull up the anchor and run this podcast back to the docks. We'll be back again with another helpful and fun episode next time. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/guest, and I'll help offer insights into your boat research and shopping experience. Also, we'd appreciate it if you took just 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It helps others find us so we can help more boaters. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it in your boating groups on social media. They will certainly thank you. And by the way, if you haven't already, grab your free Boat Buyers Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. And so you don't pay too much for your next boat, Visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save for a short video. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a few first-time boating tips for when you own your new boat. Number one, know your local boating laws, basic navigation rules, and how to operate your boat safely. It'll make boating even more fun for everyone. Two, be aware of your wake at all times and pay attention to no wake zones because you are responsible for your wake. When maneuvering at slow speeds, you can put out an enormous wake. If going slow, be courteous, save some fuel, and drop down to idle speed, just in forward gear to ensure there is no wake. This could save you an expensive ticket and will keep you from being that guy on your waterway. Number three, boats do not have headlights. They have docking lights, specifically made for seeing in tight quarters and docking. Do not turn your docking lights on while cruising down the water. It can blind other boaters and is very dangerous and, again, could save you an expensive ticket. Number four, follow the maintenance schedule for your boat. Change the oil, impeller, gear lube, winterize if you need to winterize in your area. Inspect your trailer tires, bearings, and grease the hubs if you're a trailer boater to ensure you don't experience expensive and unnecessary repairs that will impact your boating time. Number five, always double check your plug is in, your battery is charged, and the fuel is full before heading out for a day on the water. It could just save your boating day. And if you're a trailer boater, I've got a few extra tips. Number one, at the boat ramp, prepare your boat, your gear, and your guests in the staging area. Then, when you're ready, back down the ramp, unload the boat, head to the parking lot, and right back down to your boat to be fast and courteous to your fellow boaters and don't tie up that ramp unnecessarily. Next, use transom tie-down straps when trailing your boat. Very bad things can happen if you don't, and they do happen. Three, check everything in the boat is secure before heading down the road. Seat cushions, gear, keys, towels, even tubes and lily pads can get blown out when pulling your boat down the highway or interstate. And most important, have fun. Enjoy your boat and get on the water as much as possible because life truly is better on a boat. Until next time, this is your friend in boating, Captain Matt.